Hello friends, welcome to IAS Help Desk. Our today's discussion is prelims based and we have divided various videos into various sections so that it will be easy for you to learn and revise. And we are taking up the topic of temples today. Let's see some of the previous year questions to give you an idea about the terms and details we should be familiar with. So here comes the first question which was asked in 2019 by UPSC. It says that building Kalyan Mandapas was a notable feature in the temple construction. See, the question is temple construction, and here's a particular word, Kalyan Mandapas. So, if we see the options, then if you're not familiar with this term, Mandapas or Kalyan Mandapas, then we will not be able to identify the answer. So, in short, I just want to tell you that there are some particular terminologies which we should be knowing while reading of temples and architecture of art and culture. So, the next question is, with reference to the cultural history of India, the term Panchayatan refers to, again, the given options. Here, again, the term Panchayatan. So, this is not a word which we use in our daily life regularly. We come across while we are reading a book or we are reading into the terminologies of temples or architecture, etc. So again, it denotes that we should be learning the terminologies of art and architecture, and while reading temples, where we should be focused on. Then the next question is, the Nagara, the Dravida and the Vesara are the which of the following? Again, if we don't know the terms about what is Nagara, what is Dravida or what is Vesara, then we won't be able to answer this factual question. So the topic of temples becomes important also with the point of view that the temple related to Ram Mandir and Ayodhya is in so much in news. So let's start our topic. Now if we see some of the facts related to Ayodhya, then it was earlier called as Awadh, which lies on the Saryu river, and it is just east of Faizabad. So here is the map. Here it is Ayodhya. Here is Faizabad, and here it's Saryu river. Before we move on, this is the design proposed by the chief architecture, and if we see that it is very much similar to the Akshardham temple in Delhi. Now let's see some of the facts about temples in India. So temples in India, though built at different times and periods by different rulers and kings, it has always been an assimilation of the arts of that period and have always projected the ideals of dharma, beliefs and values of Hinduism. And if we talk about the first Hindu temple, then it was built from the rock cut caves. Now what is rock cut temple or rock cut architecture? Then it is the creation of structures or buildings and sculptures by excavating the solid rock where it actually originated. And then after the arrival of Guptas only, the prominent feature of temples were created and noticed in 4th to 5th centuries. And everything about architect and its styles and principles is described in Shilpa Shastras. Now if I tell you what is Shastra, then it is a Sanskrit word which is basically a manual book of instructions on a particular subject or topic. So it can have explanations regarding regulations and standards. For example, Niti Shastra contains ethics, and again there is Yoga Shastra. It contains the teachings and disciplines of yoga, and likewise. So here Shilpa Shastra, it mentions three types of temple architecture, and first is Nagara style, which is found in northern India, then Dravidian style, which is found in South India, and then the Vesara style, which is a mixed style, a blend of both Nagara style and Dravidian style. Now let's understand some of the basic and common features which is found in the Hindu temples. Now here the first thing is Garbhagriha. Garbhagriha is the place where the god has been placed. Then the term is Mandapa. Again, this is the term which was asked in the question also. So it is the portico or hall at the entrance of temple, generally designed house a large number of people. Then comes the term Shikhara, the mountain-like spire which can have different shapes from pyramidal to curvilinear. So Shikhar is the design which is which can be pyramidal in shape or curvilinear in shape, and it is found in North Indian temples. And in place of Shikhara, there is Vimana in South Indian temples. And then we have Vahana. It is the mount or vehicle of the temple's main deity along with a standard pillar which is placed axially from the sanctum. So in simple sentence, Vahana is the vehicle in form of anything, vehicle of the main deity that is placed in Garbhagriha. Then comes the Amlaka. So it is a stone disc-like structure crowning the top of the North Indian style Shikhara. And simply just remember that it is a stone disc-like structure crowning the top of Shikhara means शिखर के ऊपर अम्लका होता है like a crown. Crown जो कि हम लोग सर के ऊपर पहनते हैं, तो you can imagine this head like a शिखर and वो crown like an amlaka. Then we have kalash, that is wide mouthed pot or ornamental pot designed decorating the shikhara in North Indian temples. So these are the design basically for North Indian temples. And kalash which is basically a pot like ornamental design, and it is for the decoration of the shikhar. Later we will see terms in diagrammatic form. Then we have Jagati. It is raised platform for sitting and praying and is common in North Indian temples. So here in the diagram, as we read that Amlaka, it is crowning the Shikhar. Then we have Kalash. This is pot-like structure which is there to decorate this Shikhar, and it is at the top of Amlaka. Then we have Mandaka, as we read that it is the entrance gate through which the devotees will enter the temple, and it is very large place so that it can accumulate devotees in large number. Then we have Ardha Mandapa also. In many of the temples we will see this. Ardha Mandapa is just the parallel structure of Mandapa, and it is also seen in North Indian style. And then importantly, we have the Garbhagriha, where the main deity of the temple has been placed. And then if we talk about the temple architecture, then basically we have three types of architecture which has been described in the Shilpa Shastra as we read above. First is Nagara style, which is in North India, and it is associated with the land between Himalayas and Vindhya. So basically it has been divided into the parts, geographical land of the country, and Nagara style belongs to the land between Himalayas and the Vindhyas. Then comes the Dravidian style, which is prevalent in South India, and it is associated with the land between Krishna and Kaveri rivers. And as we read that Vesara style, it is an independent style and it is a hybrid type of style. That means it is a blend of both Nagara and Dravidian style, and it is associated with the land between the Vindhyas and the river Krishna. Now let's see the Nagara style of temple architecture and its various features. So here, for example, we have taken a typical Nagara style temple, and into this we can see the mandapa, which is divided into three sections, that is Ardha Mandapa, hall, that is mandapa, and the Maha Mandapa, that is the greater hall. So Ardha Mandapa is the basic entrance hall, and then there is the great hall which is connected to the Garbhagriha through vestibule, that is Antarala. So Garbhagriha, where the main deity of the temple resides, and that is connected for the devotees through the Antarala. Then we have Amlaka, which we read that it is the crowning feature of the Shikhara. And then we have tower, which is also called as Urushringa. Then there is also a feature called base platform, that is Adhishthana. And then we can see there are steps which are leading to the temple. So these are the typical features of Nagara style of temple architecture. So through this example, we could see that the three main distinctive features of the Nagara style is the first Shikhara, and then Garbhagriha and the Mandapa. Also, this Nagara school is subdivided into the regions like Odisha, Khajuraho and Solanki, and into which it was found that the earliest temples used to have only one tower as Shikhara, and the temples which were built later that had multiple Shikharas. And it is also seen that the Garbhagriha, where the main deities has been located, is always under the tallest tower. And then it is seen that the temple is generally built on an upraised platform called Jagati. So the famous Jagannath temple in Puri is built according to Nagara style of temple architecture. And then we have Vishwanath and Lakshman temple in Khajuraho and Dashavatar temple in Deoghar. So these are the example of Nagara style of temple architecture. Then if we divide the temples on their basis of Shikhara, then it can be divided into three subtypes of Nagara temple, and yes, of course, that will be depending on upon the shape of Shikhara. So first is Rekha Prasad type or Latina type. So this is a simple Shikhara that where we find that there is a square at the base and the walls curve inward to a point on the top. Then the Latina types are mainly used for housing the Garbhagriha, and the top is called as Latina or the Rekha Prasad type of Shikhara. And then we have Pamsana type. Here the main thing is to be noticed is the building is broader and shorter than Latina, and roofs that are composed of slabs rises to the center of the building at a single point. And this type of design is used to build the mandapas, and then it slope upwards on a straight incline. And then we have Vallabhi type, and this is where the building is generally rectangular and rising up to form a vault-like chamber. As it can be clearly noticed that the building is rectangular in shape, and here it's the vault-like chamber. So this is Vallabhi type of Nagara style. Now, since we have discussed the features of Nagara style of temple architecture, let's see the architectural design proposed for the Ayodhya Ram temple. As we read earlier, the temple will be built as per the Nagara style of architecture. So the Ayodhya Ram temple will have 5 mandapas from the entrance to the Garbhagriha. And the entrance, as we read earlier in the Nagara style, that from entrance to Garbhagriha there were several mandapas. Earlier the temple we saw, we had 3 mandapas. Here it is having 5. And the chief architect is Chandrakant Bhai, who has been the architecture of Akshardham temple too. Now let's see the Dravidian style of temple architecture. So the Dravidian type of temple architecture, which was deployed for Hindu temples in Tamil Nadu from the 7th to 18th century, it was characterized by its pyramidal tower. And unlike the Nagara temple, the Dravidian temple is enclosed within a compound wall, and the front wall has an entrance gateway in its center, which is known as Gopura or Gopuram. It also consists of a square chambered structure topped by a superstructure of tower which is called Vimana, and if you remember in Nagara style it was called as Shikhara. And then the Vimana in the Dravidian style is like a stepped pyramid that rise up geometrically rather than curving like Shikhara of North India. So each story is determined by a, you can say it's a parapet of miniature shrines and barrel vault roofs at the center. And the tower is topped by a dome-shaped cupola and a crowning pot and finial. There is a presence of finial in Dravidian style. Also, a large water reservoir or a temple tank enclosed in a complex is general in South Indian temples. One will generally find sculptures of fierce dwarpals. Dwarpals means doorkeepers. They are always found at the entrance of the temple. Here, another notable feature in Dravidian style is the subsidiary shrine. That means the deity, apart from the main lord of the temple, the subsidiary shrines are also there, and those are placed at separate small shrines beside the main deity. Also, unlike in Nagara style, which where the Garbhagriha used to have the tallest tower, here in South India, the most sacred temples used to have the smallest towers. And again, one of the notable feature of South Indian style, that is Dravidian style of temple, is the presence of elaborated boundary walls or gateways that are called as gopurams, which is not very much prominent in Nagara style. and there is no water tank in the temple premises, and the Pradakshina Path is covered. Now, what is Pradakshina Path? It is the ambulatory passageway where the devotees walk around the deity in a clockwise direction as a worship ritual and a symbol of respect to the temple god or goddess. So that is Pradakshina Path. Now let's see what is Vesara style. So the Vesara style of temple architecture is the fusion of above two styles, that is the Dravidian style and the Nagara style of temple architecture. And this style of temple architecture have become popular after mid 7th century at the time of Chalukyas. And in this style, there is a presence of pillars, which is very prominent, but the notable feature is Gopuram are absent. Also, this style is very much famous in the Karnataka region. And if we go according to the region of this temple architecture, then it is found between the Vindhyas and the river Krishna, where these style of temple architecture is very much prominent. And the historians also call this style as Chalukya style or Karnataka style, as this kind of temple is mainly seen in this region, and it was further improvised by Rashtrakutas and Hoysala dynasties. So it is seen that in the Vesara style of temple architecture, the overall height of the temple is reduced, is found to be shortened as in comparison to the Nagara and Dravidian style of temple architecture. And the Vimanas generally are shortened, and here it is referred as miniature Vimanas, and the shape of which is pyramid in shape. And the Vimana here in Vesara style was crowned by a circular shikhar above the neck. Now, if you see some of the examples, then it is Badami temple, Durga temple, and Virupaksha temple, etc. And now, for a clear understanding, let's see a diagrammatic difference between the northern style temple and the southern style of temple. So, the very first and prominent difference we can see regarding Amlaka here in Dravidian style in southern temple, it is completely absent and it is in the form of capstone. Then the next thing we find is in the form of mandapas. Here it has taken a different shape and form. Also here the shikhara, which is curvilinear in shape, here in Dravidian style it has become a pyramidal. And now let's see the comparison as a quick revision of our overall style, temple style and architecture. Then Nagara temple is found in the northern region, and Dravidian style is found in the southern region. And then Vesara, which is a mixed blend of both Dravidian and Nagara style, it is found between the Vindhyas and the Krishna river. And then the difference is noticed in the form of shikhar, which is built over the Garbhagriha, and generally it is curving inward. That is, it is taking a curve-like shape, and in this Dravidian style, it has taken a pyramidal shape or a tower shape, and it is known as Vimana. And here the several stories in receding dimension can be noticed. And then likewise, the pyramidal structure like tower is seen in Vesara style also, but only the difference is the height is shortened. Then we have multiple shikharas in Nagara style, and here the subsidiary shrine in Dravidian style, we see that they are also incorporated in separate chambers. This is also similar in Vesara style. Then the difference we see that the Garbhagriha in the Nagara style is situated just below the tallest tower of the temple of the Shikhar, which is known as Shikhar. And in case of Dravidian style, it is the smallest tower under which the Garbhagriha has been situated. And then once again, a notable feature, that is Dwarpals, that is doorkeepers, are seen in South Indian style, which is absent in Nagara style. Here, a terracotta panels or figurine kind of structure can be seen on the exterior of the walls. And then once again, the most important thing, the Gopurams are absent in Nagara style of temple, and with Gopurams are the most prominent thing in the Dravidian style. And here in the Vesara style, it may be or it may not be. Then again, the presence of water tank may not be present in the Nagara style. It is not a compulsory feature of Nagara style, but in Dravidian style of temple, here the water tank has to be present for the sacred purposes. And then again in Vesara style, it is not a compulsory feature. And then as we read about Pradakshina Path, which is absent in Nagara style, and here it is present in Dravidian style of temple architecture, which is an enclosed within a compound wall. And here again, once again, it is not compulsory for Vesara style. In some temples it is found and in some it is not. So here are some examples of temples belonging to the Nagara style of temple architecture and Dravidian and Vesara style. Now, as we are discussing about the temples and the temple architecture, let me tell you one of the most important news, as the Supreme Court upheld the rights of the Travancore royal family in the administration of the historic Sri Padmanabha Swami temple in Kerala. And by this judgment, Supreme Court set aside the 2011 verdict of the Kerala High Court, which had directed the state government to set up a trust to take the control and management of the assets of the temple. So, Padmanabha Swami temple is located in Thiruvananthapuram, which is the capital of Kerala. And the design of the temple, if we see, then it is not a typical Dravidian style. In fact, it is a fusion of Kerala style and the Dravidian style. And the principal deity in Sri Padmanabha Swami is Lord Vishnu, who is seen as Ananta Shayana posture, which means Vishnu in sleeping pose on Sheshnag. So this question here, a question can be put that who is the principal deity in Padmanabha Swami temple, and what is the posture or in which pose the idol of Vishnu is being established there. So he is also regarded as the ruler of Travancore, and he was also crowned as the emperor of Travancore in the 18th century. And the Laksh Deepam festival is the biggest festival of this temple, which is celebrated once in 6 years and in the month of January. And the festival gets its name from the lighting of hundreds or thousands of lamps inside the temple and its premises. And since independence, the control of the temple is being maintained independently by a trust by the descendants of the family, by the royal family. Now let's see some of the facts about the Kerala style of temple, and here again lies a scope where several questions can be framed. So here in Kerala style, due to rich forest cover, the use of woods is very prominent, and it is prominently seen in its temples also. And this becomes its most distinguishing feature. And here in Kerala style, the roof of the temple depends upon the plan that has been placed below. That is, the circular plan will have a conical roof and a square plan will have a pyramid like roof. And then there is also a use of copper plates to, if steep and needle like roof is present, to make or to protect the temple from heavy rain. For better understanding about the types of question used to be asked by the UPSC, we have provided some of the facts like the famous temples and the rulers associated with. So for example, the temple at Mahabalipuram and the Kailashnath temple and the Vaikuntanath temples at Kanchipuram, these are the temples built during the rule of Pallavas. Then there is Lingaraj temple, which was built during the Ganga rulers. Also there is Brihadeshwara temple at Tanjore, which was built during Chola's rule or Chola's dynasty. Likewise, the Khajuraho temple, it was built during the Chandela rulers. So this is the way we should be remembering or we should be revising, as there are factual questions asked from this art and culture section by UPSC. So friends, this was our today's discussion, and if you go through this video and discussion, then the topic of temples in the art and culture section will get completed. So friends, feel free to reach us at our mail ID and we assure you an immediate response. Thank you so much for your time and patience.